Hi, in this video I will show you some methods or tips and tricks that you can use with a ferro rod. The ferro rod or ferrocerium rod is an alloy. It consists of cerium, iron and some other metals. It is a relatively soft alloy which, when struck with a harder, sharp material, small particles will shave off, and due to the friction they will oxidize very quickly when getting in contact with air. And it produces really bright and hot sparks up to 3000 degrees Celsius. However, using a ferro rod requires some practice, as its usage is not as easy as straightforward as using an open flame source. Most ferro rods come with their own scraper, which you can use to throw sparks with. This, however, is not always the best option, as not all scrapers are made equal, and it might be hard to get a good grip and leverage on such a small scraper like this. One of the most popular options is to use the spine or the backside of your knife. You should never use your edge, because this can damage your edge pretty quickly. With your knife you will have greater leverage and you can produce more sparks. This will only work though with knives which have a sharp 90-degree spine. You should only use fixed blade knives for this, or only use folding ones which have a proper locking mechanism to prevent your blade closing onto your fingers. Outside of knives, any other tool can be used which is hard enough and has a sharp enough edge. Saws are particularly good for this purpose, such as this folding saw, as most saws come with a pretty sharp 90-degree spine from manufacturing. Swiss Army knife saws can also be used, as they also have a sharp 90-degree spine. However, take care, and you should only use the part which is really close to the pivot point, and take care when striking with it, as there is no locking mechanism which prevents it from closing onto your fingers. If you don't have a suitable knife or saw, or you have lost your scraper, even a simple stone can do the trick. For example, this flint, which has really nice sharp edges. Or even this random stone, which I just picked up while hiking to this place. Although of course not as effective as a proper striker, but in a pinch it can also do the trick. Using a striker conventionally, there is a risk that you can knock over your tinder. A more controlled method is to lock the striker in place and pull the ferro rod across it. If your tinder is on the ground, then you can fix your handle of your knife on top of your feet and you can pull your ferro rod underneath it. With this method, you can direct the sparks to where you want. If your tinder is on an elevated or stable platform, maybe a bit better method is to fix the blade onto that platform and pull the ferro rod on top of it, like so. With some really fine tinder, you can pin it directly with your ferro rod and then throw sparks on it to prevent knocking it over. If the tinder is not quite dry or it is not fine enough, then you can use the same method to pin it, but instead of one quick motion, you produce a shower of sparks with rapid motions. With a small feather stick, you can use the same shower of sparks method, but with a twist. What I usually do is that I lock the ferro rod at the base of the feather stick, and once it is locked in place, I use the same method as before. With this, even a not so ideal feather stick can be ignited. Another useful trick is to shave off small particles, but in a really slow and controlled manner to prevent ignition. And once there are some materials scraped off from the ferro rod, then you ignite it. If you are using really fine and delicate tinders, such as the scrapings from a birch bark, then you can use another method, which I call the precision method or the thumb push method. With this, you hold your ferro rod close to its end, place the tip of your knife with the backside onto it, and then push with your thumb while pulling back with your other fingers, like so. With this, you can direct your sparks very precisely. Now you may wonder, how could you use a ferro rod one-handed, for example, if you are injured? Well, there are a few methods to do that, and the main idea behind all of them is to somehow fix either the scraper or the rod in place. Let's see the first option. You need some block of wood or anything, and you basically fix your blade at an angle with your feet. and use the ferro rod like so. You should only use this method with fixed blade knives to not damage your pivot point. Then this next method you can use with your saw, such as this folding saw. Here you fix your saw under your knee. For this method you need your tinder to be on an elevated platform under it, and then you throw sparks. Thanks for joining. I hope this has been useful, and see you in my next video.